You are here today because you have failed to uphold the very values you swore to protect.
Asterisk, the quiet hum of the courtroom's air vents was the only sound. As Staff Sergeant Daniel Cross, Doom Guard of the unknown soldier, stood at attention. His uniform was flawless, his posture unshakable, but inside, a storm brewed. The Medal of Honor resting on his chest had been awarded for bravery during a mission in Afghanistan. A mission where he had saved 6 soldiers while wounded himself. But none of that mattered now. The judge's stern eyes were locked on him, and the room's tension felt thick enough to cut. Asterisk, Staff Sergeant Cross, Judge Reynolds announced, his voice echoing off the wooden walls. You are ordered to remove your Medal of Honor until this investigation is concluded. Asterisk, a murmur rippled through the courtroom. Even the reporters stopped typing for a moment. This wasn't just unusual, it was unheard of. Asterisk, Daniel blinked, stunned. Your Honor, remove my Medal of Honor? His voice stayed respectful, but carried the pain of a man blindsided. Asterisk, yes. The judge replied firmly, effective immediately. Asterisk, slowly. Daniel raised his hands to his chest. His fingers brushed the cool metal, the same metal placed around his neck by the president himself. He remembered standing on that bright Washington, D.C. stage, hearing the applause of thousands. He remembered his mother crying proudly in the front row, his commanding officer saluting him with tears in his eyes. That moment had defined his life. Asterisk, now, it felt like all of it was being erased. Asterisk, the courtroom watched as Daniel unclipped the medal. His hands shook not out of fear, but heartbreak. He held the Medal of Honor in his palm, staring at it as if it were a piece of his soul being taken away. Cameras clicked. Reporters whispered. Even the bailiff shifted awkwardly. Asterisk, Daniel stepped forward and placed the medal on the wooden table before the judge. The soft metallic sound it made seemed to echo across the entire room. Asterisk, Judge Reynolds cleared his throat. Until allegations regarding your conduct during the Tomb Guard ceremony are settled, you will be stripped of this honor. Asterisk, Daniel wanted to speak, to defend himself. But Tomb Guards were trained for discipline, not protest. The accusation disrespect during a ceremonial exchange was something he knew he had not committed. The Tomb Guard creed lived inside him. He had guarded the unknown soldier through rain, blistering heat, and shoulder-deep snow. He had memorized every step, every breath, every second. To be accused of dishonoring that sacred duty felt like a dagger. Asterisk, his fellow soldiers in the gallery exchanged shocked glances. One whispered, "This is wrong. He'd never break protocol." Another muttered, "They're destroying him." Asterisk, Daniel stood tall, refusing to let humiliation show on his face. But inside, he felt something breaking, something he had never experienced, not even in combat. Asterisk, as he turned to leave the courtroom, the empty space on his chest felt heavier than the medal ever had. It was more than a decoration. It was a part of his identity. Asterisk, and now, it was gone. Asterisk, outside, reporters swarmed toward him. But Daniel walked through them silently, ignoring the shouts and flashing cameras. All he knew was this: whatever happened next would change his life and possibly end the career he had built with everything he had. Daniel Cross walked out of the courtroom, his steps deliberate, yet heavy with the weight of what had just transpired. The cold air of the outside world hit him like a slap, as if reality had finally caught up. The Medal of Honor, the symbol of everything he had sacrificed for, was no longer hanging from his neck. It had been removed as if it were nothing more than a piece of cloth. Asterisk, for the first time in years, Daniel felt a knot of fear in his stomach. He had faced life and death situations on foreign soil, had stared down death in the eyes, and yet nothing had shaken him like the moment he unclipped that medal. Nothing had ever made him feel so small. Asterisk, the courthouse steps seemed to stretch longer than usual as he descended, his boots clicking in sharp succession on the cold concrete. He could hear the voices behind him, reporters, onlookers, colleagues, all murmuring about the unfolding drama. But it was the looks of sympathy and confusion from his fellow soldiers that stung the most. They knew him better than anyone. They knew he would never dishonor the tomb. They knew what the tomb guard meant to him. Asterisk Staff Sergeant Cross. A reporter called out, trying to push through the crowd. Asterisk Daniel didn't stop. His mind was elsewhere back at the tomb. His brothers and sisters in arms had stood with him, had trained with him, and now, in this moment, they were all in limbo. His removal from the position of tomb guard would echo across the military, across the country. His career, everything he'd worked for, felt like it was crumbling in front of him. Asterisk the sting of the judge's words still rang in his ears, until allegations regarding your conduct during the tomb guard ceremony are settled. You will be stripped of this honor. He had never imagined that something as sacred as his duty could be questioned. Who would make such an accusation? The tomb guard was a brotherhood, a code that ran deeper than anything else. To dishonor their code would be unforgivable. Asterisk his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, eyes scanning the screen. It was a text from his best friend, Sergeant Jason Caldwell, a fellow tomb guard. Asterisk, don't worry, man. We know you. This is a setup. Stay strong. Asterisk, the words were like a lifeline, but Daniel's heart still sank. A setup? What was going on? Who was behind this? The military's most sacred tradition was now under siege, and it was his integrity on the line. Asterisk, sir. A voice broke through his thoughts. He turned, startled, and saw Colonel Carter, his commanding officer, walking toward him with a grave look on his face. We need to talk. Asterisk Daniel nodded, still in shock. About the hearing, sir? Asterisk not just the hearing, Carter said, his tone low. There's a lot more going on here than you realize. Asterisk Daniel felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He had no idea what was coming. But one thing was certain. His life was no longer just about following orders and guarding the tomb. Something far larger than him was at play, and it was going to cost him. Asterisk.